It is. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is, you okay over there, Mr. King?
That was him.
Okay. This is the meeting of Livingston Parish Council. This is a regular meeting, November 8th, 2018. Can everyone please rise? Mr. Mack, you have the invocation.
Thank you for that opportunity. Let's bow our heads. Dear God in heaven, we thank you, Father, for this precious day that you gave us. Father, we thank you for the breath of life. We ask, Father, that you be with the veterans on Veterans Day, Father. We thank them for their dedicated service. We ask that you be with all the police officers and first responders, Father. Just put your hands on them, Father, and lead them into the direction and have them do the things to help save our lives and save our loved ones, Father. Father, we at this time ask that you be with the sick and the needy. You put your healing hands on them, and if it be your will, take care of them, Father. And we thank you for allowing this council to get together and conduct parish business, Father, and give us the strength and knowledge and courage to do what's best for the people of our great parish, Father. And thank you for sending Jesus Christ, your Son, to die on the cross so that we could be saved, so that one day we may have the opportunity to live in heaven with you, Father. And at this time, in Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Mr. Mooney, you lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Sandy, please call roll.
Mr. Wascom.
Here.
Mr. Harris.
Here.
Mr. Lobel.
Here.
Mr. Ard.
Here.
Mr. Mack.
Here.
Mr. Averett. Mr. Girlinghouse.
Here.
Mr. King.
Here.
Mr. Talbert.
Here.
At this time, I'd like to remind everyone, if you have a cell phone, please turn it off, turn it on mute. We are now entering a public hearing. This is adoption of LP ordinance number 18-24. Mr. Jim Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an ordinance authorizing the parish of Livingston to proceed with not to exceed $9 million financing for the Louisiana Local Government Environmental Facilities and Community Development Authority, authorizing and ratifying the parish's request of the Louisiana Local Government Environmental Facilities and Community Development Authority to issue its revenue bonds, authorizing the borrowing by the parish of the proceeds from the sale thereof to finance qualified GOMESA projects and providing for the repayment of and security thereof, approving and ratifying within certain parameters the terms of the sale of the bonds, authorizing the form and execution of the loan agreement and assignment agreement, authorizing the form of and execution of an agreement for the purchase of the bonds and ancillary financing documents and otherwise providing with respect thereto.
Thank you.
How can
I
you be
read
more
that
clear
like
than that?
50 times a week, okay? So.
And what exactly did, no, I'm kidding.
Don't ask me. I don't know.
Is there any comments from the public on this? Any comments from the council? We are now closing the public hearing. I need a motion to accept.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Talbot, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Mr. Chairman, just personal privilege, I want to thank your staff. These bond issues required tremendous amount of legwork from Sandy and Jennifer and Mark. Especially Jennifer, I probably call her once a week, telling because some banker or lawyer or somebody has called me and said, we need this, blah, 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 blah. And I probably have to call that woman once a week and track her down and get her to do something and jump through some hoop at the last minute because some guy called me from New York and wanted something 5 minutes ago that we needed while I died. And I really appreciate y'all's staff's help. They do a great job throughout.
We did.
Yep.
Thank you,
I
Jim.
appreciate it too. All right, at this time I have a presentation that I'm going to give. All right. to be able to recognize Ms. Laney LeBlanc tonight. She is a 2016 graduate and alma mater of our high school, Walker, along with Mr. Gertinghouse and Mr. King. She is currently a junior at LSU, majoring in animal science with a concentration in pre-veterinary medicine and with a minor in communications. Laney is a member of the FFA 4-H pre-veterinarian club at LSU. While in high school, she served as Walker FFA chapter officer and was extremely involved in their strong FFA program. Thanks to her advisors, Ms. Kelly Becknell,
Yes, sir.
Becknell and Mr. Trevor Russian. 2016-17, she served as Louisiana FFA State Secretary, where she presented workshops, gave speeches, and networked across the state. Due to her passion for agricultural education, servant leadership, and the FFA, Laney made a decision to run for a national FFA office. As a candidate, she had to study and train for months to prepare for the tough election process that was ahead for her. As if all of this is not impressive enough, we are recognizing her tonight for being elected as Secretary of the National Farmers of America, or FFA as we all call it. She was elected during the 91st National FFA Convention, Expo in October in Indianapolis. She is the first Louisiana FFA member to be elected as a national officer in 31 years, the 5th overall since 1930. Most impressive is the fact that Laney is the first female from the state in our history. I think that deserves applause. In close, national officers dedicate 1 year of service with the organization. Their time is spent representing student memberships during meetings with the National FFA Board of Directors, facilitating workshops that bring leadership and knowledge to FFA members, delivering motivational speeches, and serving as advocates for the FFA on a global scale. National FFA officers are expected to be well-rounded and knowledgeable about agricultural issues, hot topics, agricultural education, and be able to deliver the mission and vision of the FFA organization. Laney, join me up here. This is a certification recognizing Laney LeBlanc on this, the 8th day, November 2018, Livingston, Louisiana, for her outstanding leadership skills, in which led her to be the first female in the state of Louisiana to be elected as the National FFA Organization Secretary. The rest of the council will come down and take a picture with you. They hide.
All right, yes, sir. All right, thank you.
One more, guys. Well, John Tabb, look this way.
There you go. 1, 2, 3. This
Girlinghouse and Walker people are striving, huh?
You know, I expect nothing less.
All right, this time we're gonna move to our addendum. Mr. Mark Harrell, you like to go on and do the addendum?
I'd love to.
Let's get after it.
Thanks for the opportunity. I'm gonna start off again, like I like to do at every meeting, and tell you, I appreciate you and I love you. Too, bro. We have some mitigation projects coming in very slowly, and we had 2 come in, this week that we wanna move forward on before the end of the year, and I know the holidays are messing up the meeting, so that's why we've asked for this. And one of them is the, 14660 Highway 16. And I know you've looked at it, so I'm gonna explain something to you. On this one, the appraised value was $400,000. We're offering $400,000. And when you look at the one below it, the appraised value was $182,600, and we've given them $164,340. And I know it's probably, you have questions on that, so you have loft structures, you have repetitive loft structures, and you have severe repetitive loft structures. And each one of them puts them in a different category. So the severe repetitive loft structures gets 100%. So that's why that's there. I've had a lot of people question that. So
Appreciate that.
that's what we add. Do you want to read it? You want me to read it? How you want to do that, Mr. Chairman?
You go ahead.
Introduction of an ordinance to acquire movable property for the parish of Livingston Parish pursuant to the Flood Mitigation Assistance Program, project number FMA PJ 06 LA 2017-024, Livingston Parish, and that is for address of 14660 Highway 16, Prince Settlement, Louisiana.
You can,
Can
want
I
to do
give
these
it a
separate?
Can I give it a number?
Yep.
Okay, this will be proposed ordinance 18-26, and the public hearing will be determined at the end of this meeting, which will be agenda item 16. So it will be published in the official journal when that date has been determined for the next council meeting.
Okay.
All right.
You want me to
So
do the next
can
one?
we accept both of them at the same time? Want to do them
No.
separate? All right, so I need to get a motion to accept this one.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Girlinghouse, second by Mr. Wassel. Is there any comment from the public on this? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Ms. Sandy, you want to read the next one? Sure.
This will be proposed ordinance 18-27. This is an ordinance to acquire movable property for the parish of Livingston pursuant to the Flood Mitigation Assistance Program, project number FMA PJ 06 LA 2017-024, Livingston Parish, and the address is 30362 Dawson Lane, Hannah, Louisiana 70403. And again, the public hearing will be at 6 p.m. to be determined at the end of this meeting. And it'll be published in the official journal.
Get a motion. Motion by Mr. Harris, second by Mr. Girlinghouse. Any comment from the public on this? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Gary, do you want to go and do yours now? Or?
We might as well. I hadn't got a response on the other person, so.
All right. Mark, you want to go ahead and do the other ones that you're here for?
Yes, sir, thank you. I'm gonna swap hats. I did the first one as your Homeland Security Director, and I'm gonna do it as the Grants Director. As you're aware, we're going after a $250,000 mosquito abatement grant. And with that, there are some stipulations and requirements that we have to meet. And I know that there are 2 gentlemen that's wanting to do this in their district, was wanting to wait later on to put it on the ballot. I've asked them to possibly move it up. After talking to the state, there's only 4 parishes or 4 entities that can get this grant this year, or this coming year. So I'm trying to go ahead and make sure we can secure the grant. So with that, there's a couple of things need to happen, but the main thing is we need to go ahead and put it on the ballot as quickly as possible. And then in doing that, and to help prepare the districts for this, I believe that what we need to do is, to help with the grant, is they would like to do the, put traps out and do some testing and things to prove some things before it goes on the ballot. So with that said, if we're gonna move forward with this grant, and have a positive outcome of it, we really need to go ahead and put this on a ballot. And then I'm asking for the same thing they've asked for, is to let them have two nights of the funding to get the traps, work with LSU on getting all the testing done, and basically give the grant, a possibility of the tax passing to help the grant move forward. So that's the two things on the agenda. We can do any way you want to do it. But I just want to give you the rundown of what we really need to do to move this grant forward. So I guess number 17 is adopt a resolution to allocate 2 nights of the fund from the Livingston Parish Mosquito Abatement District to Mosquito Abatement District 2 and 3. That's the first thing that I'm proposing.
All right. I have a motion for that.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. King,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Garlandhouse. Any comment from the public on this? Comment from the council?
I have to say something, and I'm gonna make it short and sweet, but I think I owe it to my people to explain why I'm voting the way I'm voting tonight. So real quick, this has been a long debate over the last 6 to 9 months. Year and a half. Okay? And I still feel the same way I always felt about mosquito abatement. And a couple of things, the chemicals that's sprayed, I just don't think that's a good idea. I'm sorry, but I don't. I like to follow the will of the people, and I believe the will of the people is against it. I don't think that you could collect enough money to truly make a difference. But in saying that, I'd also like to say that I voted to help those 2 individuals create a district because they believe, and I believe in them enough, they told me that their people in their district wanted it. And I said, what's right is for me to move forward with that and give you the opportunity to prove me wrong and show me that your people want that. And I truly, not bragging, but I'm truly an individual, an elected official that believes that we should serve the people and give them what they deserve. So that kind of explains the way I'm going with this. But I just wanted to explain to the people that elected me why I'm going to support this resolution. So thank you for that opportunity. I'm sorry if
Thank you, Shane.
It's true.
It's true.
Every minute, every bit of it. Y'all deserve y'all's fair share.
Thanks.
Mr. Boston?
Thank you. If I'm not mistaken, there's $111,000, $104,000 that the parish has collected from people all over this parish for mosquito abatement. Of course, every district has paid their portion of it. We don't know how much that money has from what district, so we're just assuming that that amount is what it is. And for 5 or 6 years, how long has that money been in the account that we haven't used it? 6 years, something like that? 6, 7 years?
At least 3.
Well, I know it was before we come in, I think, but we've been here 3, so, well, whatever, okay, 5 years. So that money has been in the Livingston Parish bank account, and it hasn't been used because it was collected as a means for abatement of mosquitoes, and since we're not doing that anymore, we couldn't really use it for anything. And then, so we created this Livingston Parish Mosquito District, which is not the entire parish, it's just for 2 districts. Well, initially, they wanted all of the money from that to go there, and then it changed to 50%. On June 12th, they asked for $50,000, and then a little later than that, they asked for 20% on August the 9th, and we didn't give them that because that money comes from the entire parish, and to send it to just 2 districts is what they're wanting. So it failed numerous times, and we've had numerous of meetings here regarding mosquito abatement. We've brought professionals in from Baton Rouge that do mosquito abatement and have spoken to us. We've had room filled of people who are against mosquito abatement, and it just will not go away. This little gnat just keeps flying around. And so it won't go away. And I understand the conundrum that we're in because you couldn't spend the money, and now this district comes up and they say, well, hey, if you don't just give it to us because you're not going to spend it anyway, and I understand. But here's what I have. I have two problems, well, a couple problems. Giving the money to the district when the district the people haven't even voted whether or not they want to have mosquito abatement, of which they've already voted twice, and they said no, they don't want mosquito abatement, but we're going to give them this money before they even go to vote of the people. And you know, we just had a tax fail for SRO, school resource officers, so people are really gun shy or negative going in to spend for a tax. Well, I feel very confident that if this money goes to those districts, it will be used to campaign for the tax. Now, people say so quickly, oh, that's against the law, you can't do that. Well, you and I both know, all of us know, that how you word things can skirt the law, but then it winds up getting used as campaigning for the tax. So you're taking taxpayers' money, campaigning to get them to spend more money on the tax. And then there's over 50% of the people who voted and said, we don't want mosquito abatement in these two districts. And you know, here's another problem with giving the money to those districts. 7 other districts spent money into that. Now, once we give 2/9 of that money, the rest of the 7 are stuck. That's $11,000 if you figure it out per district. That's $11,000 in each other district that we can never use that money. And I'll tell you why. Because what are we going to do with $11,000 in our district, or Mr. Bubba's district, or Mr. R's, or Mr. Max, or Lobell's? What are they going to do with $11,000? They can't say, Mr. Riggs, would you please go spend $11,000 out of my money on something? So I was thinking, so after giving it lots of thought, I come up with a solution that would work. And this would be beneficial to all 9 districts. What I've done is I have drafted a resolution. And this resolution, if we adopt this resolution, it would allow this council to take those funds and put it to use for the entire parish. In the Livingston Parish, whereas the Livingston Parish Council has listened to multiple mosquito abatement authorities in this council chambers, and we have learned that 2 major components of mosquito abatement are, number 1, the education of residents, informing them of the mosquito seasons, and the removal of items around your house on private property that hold water and therefore create breeding grounds for mosquito larvae. That is a major component in mosquito abatement. The professionals have told us that. The second major component is the cleaning and clearing of roadside ditches, driveway, culverts, along with small waterways located in public property within the parish adjacent to populated areas. That's the second major component in abating mosquitoes and stopping and retarding the spread of West Nile. 2 great components that we can do. And so I've drafted this little ordinance that says, therefore be it resolved by this Livingston Parish Council 2018 that any and all funds that have been collected for the sole purpose of mosquito abatement for this parish may be used for one or both of the before mentioned components of mosquito abatement. Adding thereto, these funds may also be used for the purchase of equipment that would assist in accomplishing the same, such as purchase of culvert cleaning equipment, such as equipment would be able to be used across the entire parish for years to come. If we would adopt this resolution, then we would be allowing that funds to be used as mosquito abatement for the parish. So if you're concerned about protecting the lives of people in Livingston Parish from West Nile virus, this resolution is the most effective and efficient way of doing it immediately. I just, we banged our heads about this a whole bunch, and this just continually keeps coming up. I really feel strongly that if we give this money to these two districts, we're cutting the rest of the 7 out, and the people who spent that money, it's gone. They'll never get a chance to use it. If we adopt this resolution, it gets used for the entire parish, and where one district goes, we all go. And we're not dividing the parish up, because what you can't do is take the 7 of the 9, buy some equipment, and say, okay, now, Mr. Parish President, go clean the ditches in 7 of the districts and not the 2. You can't do that. So the best thing to do is adopt this resolution. Let's let that money be used for cleaning ditches and educating people in this parish when mosquito season comes to remove the standing water to stop the breed of larvae. With that being said, I think I'd like to make a motion that we adopt this resolution.
Is there a motion on the
Now,
table?
some may question its legalities.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second, so you'd have to make a counter
It would
motion.
have to be a substitute motion.
Okay, well, so there's a motion and a second? Okay,
Mr. King and Tracy.
You'd have to make a substitute motion.
well, oh, we already had a motion to,
Yeah. We've already.
okay,
had
well,
a
I'll put that in the
motion
form
and
of a substitute motion then.
So I got a substitute motion. My question to you, Chris, is
Yes,
this, can we do this?
You could do a substitute motion.
No, I mean what he's saying with the money.
Well, you'd have to have some technical support for the notion that the money used is beneficial for mosquito abatement purposes.
Such as the professionals that came and spoke here and said that major components were educating and cleaning ditches and spraying a truck down the road. And
Well, I don't dispute that, I'm saying, but you would need somebody technical to kind of give you some backup for that. If that, you feel, well, we feel that's the truth, and there is technical backup for it, so that the auditor wouldn't challenge the use of your funds, because the taxpayers have said, we want this used for mosquito abatement. So if those are true purposes, then I suppose it could be done, so,
Thank you.
You're saying if they're true purposes.
yes, sir.
You're not saying they are true purposes. He
Well,
says
wait,
if.
if they're true.
Well, I mean, he's not saying.
I don't know enough about mosquito.
Exactly.
Well, we had the professionals that y'all brought in that said they were.
Y'all, first.
Well,
Is there a second?
well, these two brought in, they brought them in, they said that was their major components of mosquito abatement.
It's all out of order to you, so there's a second.
Pardon?
It's, any discussion's an out of order unless
Sure.
there's a second to the motion.
Absolutely.
We got a substitute motion, so we need a second to have discussion on it.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Harris.
Now,
You know, if you, so,
I got something to say.
and I appreciate you questioning the legality of it.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying the parish attorney was unwilling to stand there and go, yes, you can do that. He didn't.
I didn't say you couldn't. I just
You didn't say he could either under the guise that he presented.
Well, you know, with the same thought, if you're questioning the legality of deeming those a major component of mosquito abatement, wouldn't you question taking other people's money from other parishes and giving it to those two districts and cut the rest? Isn't there some, Chris, don't you have some kind of legal doubt about that as well?
I don't,
Well, I don't go in and audit what the mosquito abatement district spend their money on. I presume it's correctly spent. So
We assume, there's a lot of
well, I mean,
assumptions there.
they're not asking to take money from another parish. They're asking them to take money from the parish that they're in. And it's not other people's money. They're asking for a
Other
portion.
districts' money.
No, they're asking for a portion, 2 nights. And they are 2 nights of this
And
parish.
you'll stick the other 7. Your district will get none of that 11. There's no way you can get that money back if you do that. No benefit the people have paid for your district.
No, but if it comes to be true that
If it
they
comes to
won't,
be
if we separate the money, my district would get 1/9 of
No,
it.
how? How?
Well, we could do what you said. We wanted to get something to clean some ditches. That's according to what your definition is. We could propose it, I could take that and propose it in my district. I mean, I wanted to say something on this too. Mr. Chairman, may I have the floor?
Mr. Darnell?
Yes, I would admit this issue has went on for a very long time. And everybody on this council, if they task themselves, at some point, did it get personal to you? did this issue become personal? And I would say when, when Mr. Talbert got on TV and said what he said, whether it was directly meant that way, and I can't remember where it was, but seemed like it was aimed at us. If you ask yourself, did you take it personal? And I'm not asking you to admit it out loud, just admit it inside yourself. Did you
I
take
don't
it
know what you're
personal?
talking about.
Well, you don't?
I do not know what you're talking about.
Well, okay, regardless. I will admit that at a point, I took that personal because I took it from across. Now, Mr. Talbert informed me that he didn't mean it the way he said it, but, I believe that he would say in this process, mistakes were made in presenting this. And we cannot allow, as councilmen, to have it personal. Since the last time we voted on this, which I don't know when that was, a couple of months ago, probably. I don't know, at least 2, maybe 3 months ago. I haven't been lobbied by Mr. Talbert, by Mr. King, by Mr. Lobel, not one time. No, none of them have come to me and said, hey, I need you to vote for this. Now, they did plenty before that. In the past month or so, I've called and asked Mr. Talbert to help me with certain things, primarily because I knew that he had knowledge that I did not have. So he has helped me move forward with some legislation, mainly the lot limits, the size of the entrances, things like that, things I believe are good for this parish. And in doing so, and at that time he didn't ask me for my help on this. He didn't. I had to question where I was at. Was it personal for me? Is it a personal grudge? Was it something that I was holding back? And the answer to myself is, to some degree, yeah, kind of was. And we don't have any room for that. You can't have any room for that if you're sitting in this seat, because we have bigger issues in this parish, guys. We do. Drainage, infrastructure. Those are paramount. Those are paramount issues. We have to come together on those kind of things. Not saying that you wouldn't. I'm just saying that they're asking, in my opinion, for 2/9 of the money that was collected has been sitting there. And it has been sitting there doing nothing. They're wanting to get an abatement program going. They're asking for the 2/9 to use that money, and really, we believe in a way that it was collected. It was intended to collect. They want to do a program. Now, to be clear and to be upfront, I'm not for abatement. And primarily the reason I'm not is because my voters in my district told me they don't want it. And they told me that twice. They do not want it. And I haven't heard anything, haven't gotten any feedback at all to the contrary to that, or to support that, or to be against it. Haven't gotten any feedback along those lines. So they're asking to bring it to their people. Now, I just still in my heart don't think it'll pass, but it's I believe it's their money. They have the right to that money that was collected. I certainly believe that 2/9 of it was collected in their districts. So guys, let's just put this behind us, please. Please just put this behind us. Let's give them their part. Let them bring it to their people and their people only, which they are tasked and were voted in to do, to represent their people. Walker has a program. The area outside of Walker doesn't. That's District 7. It's not a very big area as far as District 7 goes, but it is an area. I am going by the vote tallies of the last election, which was in 2013, that said they don't want it. So that's where I'm at. No, but they have tasked themselves to bring it to their districts. And it will go before a vote of the people, just like term limits were. So term limits came in. Every council before us had the option to put it before the people, but they didn't. We did. We let the people decide. So whether you're for term limits or not, we let the people decide. Let's let the people of their district decide. Let's give them their 2 nights and put this behind us, guys.
Thank you, Tracy. And I believe we're putting it behind us.
Mr. Mack?
Thank you, good memory. John, you got a good point,
Thank you, Shane.
and,
I hope I won you over.
what you said was, well said. You know, and if this group wants to take that other 7 nights and purchase some type of equipment to fight
You
mosquito
can't.
abatement,
You can't.
I would be all for that, you know, but
We'll be stuck.
just as Tracy said, their districts deserve what they deserve.
Well, we'll
Enough
give
said.
them abatement with ditch cleaning and education and the major components of mosquito abatement. And they still got a vote to go to try to raise money and do their own district thing if they want. We're not prohibiting them from doing that, but we're keeping our money from being spent on campaigning for another tax, which is what they're gonna do with the money. I just think this, and the way to squish this is to adopt my resolution, and we'll be done with this. Had we not created the district a year ago, had we not kept saying yes, we wouldn't be here now. We could have got rid of this problem a long time ago, but if we keep saying yes, it's gonna keep haunting us as we go forward.
How so? I mean,
You'll see, just like he won't die.
Can we call for the vote?
You want me to die, or you want mosquito baby to die? I'm just trying to
No,
figure
no,
this out.
Oh,
I love you.
Mark, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
If the tax fails, do we get the grant?
No, sir.
Do not get the grant.
No, sir.
So if we spend our money and the people say no, we have lost the money and we've lost the grant. So until the people say yes, we're not guaranteed anything.
You have to show that you can sustain it for 5 years after you receive the grant funding. And the grant funding is only for the equipment. So the reason I'm trying to move this forward, either we're gonna apply for the grant or we're gonna walk away from the grant. We don't have a choice. So if we want the grant to move through, we have to go ahead and put it on the ballot. We can't wait until next fall because we're locking down a grant too long. We can't get an extension on it. And then the 2 nights of the funding is for education, do some traps, see what we got and educate people. And that is an allowable use of that funding. But if we don't move forward tonight, I can just tell you, I'm gonna walk away from the grant. It's not worth doing it, and it's not right. If we can't do everything we can to move this thing forward, why do we wanna apply for something and maybe hold some other municipality or parish hostage and not let them get it? Because there's only 4 that's gonna get it this year.
And
So
that's-
either we need to move forward and move forward aggressively and get it so we're not locking down that grant and then holding somebody else hostage. That's what I don't want to happen. Either we're gonna do it or we're not. So we're reaching the deadline to do it. So I just need to move forward or not move forward.
All right? Well,
Tracy, you got something?
I do. So, the money, if money is given to them, their 2 nights tonight, they will use it for, what I think you just said, education and traps, right? 2 items that were permissible under the original ordinance when we collected this money, correct?
My understanding.
So all we're doing is allowing them to use their portion of the money to do what the money was collected, voted on, and is sitting there for. I mean, we're not like we're reinventing the wheel. It's the original intent of that money is being used in the form of an abatement program which they're trying to establish. That the money isn't being sidetracked. It's being used to that end, to the end that the voters originally voted for. I mean, he just said it himself. So, I mean, I don't really see, I understand that
Campaigning for a
it's
tax.
tough. In their districts, John, in their districts, it's not for your guys.
I mean, I honestly think in John's resolution, you still allow them to use it to educate people. That's what you
We
said.
can do that.
But I'm
That's
just-
exactly
I mean,
right.
if they
My
use it the
resolution
same
is
way,
great.
but still be able to
my-
use it
my
to
question
educate
is
people.
I
this.
appreciate that.
My question is this, if they hadn't brought that out, would you be talking about that right now? This money has been sitting there.
Well, shame on us.
Shame on us, you're right. So the minute they want to use it for the purpose that it was intended to be used for, you want to divert that. And I'm just saying that feels like,
Well, I've
That feels-
discovered that if we break it up, then we're sticking the rest of us. I've discovered that. So I don't understand why you fighting this so hard. When you've always voted against mosquito abatement, now you're fighting for it.
I voted against it for the parish wide. I voted for giving them all that money up front. And I've just admitted, to some degree, it was a personal issue to me. Not something I want to admit out loud, but I believe it's a personal issue to a lot of you guys sitting up
Let's
here.
call for the
You just
vote.
don't want to admit it out loud.
All right, we have a motion and a second for a substitute motion for Mr. Watson
To adopt this resolution.
to adopt his resolution. Ms. Sandy, did you get his resolution? You would read it back to us? Can you read it back to us?
I can. Whereas the Livingston Parish Council has listened to multiple mosquito abatement authorities in the council and have learned that two major components of mosquito abatement are, number one, education, and I'll shorten it up. Number two, the cleaning and cleaning out of ditches, and so freestanding water can move so mosquito larva doesn't breed. Therefore, be it resolved by this Livingston Parish Council 2018 that any and all funds that have been collected for the sole purpose of mosquito abatement for this parish may be used for one or both of the before-mentioned components of mosquito abatement. Adding there, these funds may also be used for the purchase of equipment that would assist in the accomplishing of the same, such as the purchase of culvert cleaning equipment that could be used across the entire parish for years to come.
All right, any comment from the public on this? Ms. Sandy, call for the vote.
Mr. Wascom,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Lobel,
No.
Mr. Ard,
Yes.
Mr. Mack,
Nope.
Mr. Garlinghouse,
No.
Mr. King,
No.
Mr. Talbot.
No.
Motion fails.
All right, need to go to the original motion. So, adopt a resolution to allocate 2/9 of the funds to the Livingston Parish Mosquito Abatement District. We had a motion by Mr. King and a second by Mr. Garlinghouse. Is there any comment from the public on this? Ms. Sandy, call for the vote.
Hey, Jeff, can I say something right quick?
Sure.
My district is not for mosquito abatement. Don't think they want it. I think I'm rural enough that it just doesn't, it's not effective. But, if they wanna take their 2/9 and not a nickel more and do this, I think that should something break out parish-wide, I don't think it's a bad deal to kinda have a trail blaze, to know what's we need to do to kinda get in front of that. And, John, really, I don't look at $11,000 and the scope of things in the parish and go, wow, that's a whole bunch of money.
That's not none.
It's not much.
We
So
just
it
lost that.
ain't
Right.
gonna make or break
We're
my
gonna lose.
district,
We're gonna lose.
$11,000.
No, but if we pull together, it would be more beneficial, is
And
all I was
I've been,
saying.
I've been
But
here
if we break it
squirming,
up-
trying to figure out what I'm gonna do.
But if we
But
break it up, we
if
lose.
y'all wanna blaze a trail and maybe get it done and start something, we might all ride your coattails one day, or we might all be going, man, those boys.
Be
blew
laughing at us, that'd
blew
be
some money."
okay, I don't
So,
mind, it's
I'm
okay.
gonna quit squirming and I'm gonna go with that. So,
Ms. Sandy, call for the vote.
But what,
This is to
Any motion?
adopt a
Okay.
resolution to allocate the 2/9.
Mr. Wascom,
no.
Mr. Harris,
No.
Mr. Lobel,
yes.
Mr. Ard,
No.
Mr. Mack,
Yes.
Mr. Garlinghouse.
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes,
Mr. Talbot.
Yes.
Motion passes.
thank you, fellas, we appreciate it.
Now, we don't have to
Agenda
worry about this no
18.
more.
Yeah, well, let's,
Yeah, right.
we got
You can bet you
one
wanna
more
use
little
it.
thing.
You can bet you or nothing.
Item 18.
Yeah, we still have the
After
one
this.
on the,
Yeah.
put it on the ballot, which is
Yeah.
very important.
That's, 18, adopt a resolution approving the call for an election to be held on May 4th, 2019, to authorize the levy of up to $36 annual fee to be added to the tax bill in the districts 2 and 3 for mosquito abatement. Ms. Sandy?
I have something to mention. I spoke with, Mr. Jim Ryan, our financial advisor, when I saw this on the agenda, because normally, a resolution like this to call for an election comes from a bonding attorney. It's maybe 4, 5, 6 pages long.
Right.
It's not like a couple little sentences calling for an election. And he advised me that this is just, a reference, or,
Get the ball rolling.
This-
thing.
yes,
Yeah.
that y'all are all in favor of this starting so that all the rest of the work won't be in vain.
There's gonna be a lot of work involved to get this done, and so before we tasked individuals with all that effort, we wanted to be sure that this council was gonna allow us to have the election. So this is just a preliminary vote to basically give us the go-ahead
To direct the bond council.
to direct the bond council to do the formal stuff that we need to do. We did not want to make people a lot of busy work if this council wasn't to support it. So that's all this is about.
Resolution of support, right?
And it will help me move the grant forward.
So this motion
So basically get the ball rolling on the resolution to
To
get it
put
on the ballot.
It'll
To get it on the ballot.
It'll let Mark start what he needs to start with respect to the grant. It'll let the district contact Mr. Ryan to get the things needed done, that they need done to get on the election without wasting a bunch of people's time if this council wasn't to support putting it on the ballot. This is just a vote to basically give us the go-ahead to pursue those matters. We did not want to move forward without the blessing of this council to at least know that we could get it on the ballot after all the work was done.
How much is it gonna cost to put this on the ballot?
Well, I don't know about that election. I had asked about the other election. They said
What's
about
that?
7,000.
Depends on.
I can tell you it's probably somewhere between $4,000 and $7,000.
That's probably right.
So we're gonna be coming back for the
No,
council
it's
to spend more
gotta,
money.
it's gotta come out of that fund that you get, that we just got.
He'll never stop y'all, but I'm not gonna say more.
Okay.
Maybe.
I would say that, you know, I'm not against mosquito abatement. I'm against spending the money without the vote of the people.
That's where we are.
But this right here is asking for the vote of the people. I don't have a problem with allowing the people to vote on this. So,
We've always been doing that, so that's what we wanna do, ask the people. Let them tell us. If they tell us no,
Again, for the third time?
I wasn't in office.
all right, we have a motion on this to accept this.
I think.
No.
Oh,
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr.
I'll second.
Girlinghouse, second by Mr. King. Is there any comment from the public on this? Ms. Sandy, call for the vote.
Mr. Wascom,
No.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Lobel,
Yes.
Mr. Ard,
Yes.
Mr. Mack,
Yes.
Mr. Girlinghouse.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes,
Mr. Talbot.
Yes, thank y'all guys.
appreciate it.
I want to say thank you, and, for the votes, but I'm also gonna say thank you for, each and every one of you expressing yourself and representing your folks, so I thank you for that. Good night.
Thank you, Mark.
Mark.
Appreciate you.
All right, let's, move back up to item 9, adoption of the minutes from the October 25th, 2018 regular meeting of the council. Need to get a motion to accept.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Harris,
Second.
second by Mr. Girlinghouse. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item 10, adopt a resolution to approve Pilot Interstate LLC and Stevendale Road LLC for participation in the Louisiana Industrial Tax Exemption Program. Mr. David Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. Appreciate the opportunity to be here to present this. I'm here to request a resolution, request adoption of a resolution approving Pilot Interstate LLC and Stevendale Road LLC for participation in the Louisiana Industrial Tax Exemption Program. The companies have filed the appropriate advance notification and paid appropriate fees to the Louisiana Department of Economic Development. They have acquired the facility owned by Quality Iron Fabricators, located near Springfield in Albany. They intend to invest between $2 and $4 million that will upgrade, equip, and retrofit the facility to accommodate the company's future operational needs. The facility will be staffed with a minimum of 20 employees, some of which will be transfers from existing fabrication shops outside of Livingston Parish, but a minimum of 5 shall be new jobs. Executive Order JBE 1626 requires local consideration and approval for the company to benefit from this program. And that's what we're here to do this evening. So the company is here and their representatives are here, and we're happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
David, this is, they've already, the existing facility is already part of the exemption, right? And we're just allowing what new equipment they bring in to go under the new program, which is it a 70-30, 80-20 deal? How's it working on this new program?
Correct. The building is under an existing ITEP contract. This is for new upgrades only for machinery and equipment capital investments. And it is an 80%, 20% split. So it is an 80% abatement for the company.
And this goes back to when, you know, we had the situation with what's the place on 62? Epic. This goes back to Epic when they had 100% and the local entities got nothing.
Yeah.
So this is a situation that they're gonna get 20% of something they never got before. So in essence, it's not like we're adding a new facility that was gonna tax fire or anything like that. And the road situation there has already been upgraded, so the parish isn't gonna suffer with the new company tearing up additional roads. So I think the benefit to the parish is new jobs, because they're moving jobs from Baton Rouge, or actually from West Baton Rouge. From West Baton Rouge into Livingston Parish. So in essence, it seems to me that we're not taking away any dollars that existed before in any entity, and we're not taxing, you know, the current infrastructure so that it would require tremendous investment and not receive any revenue from it. So I think it's a positive. The parish, I'd like to move forward to make a motion to accept the resolution.
I also think it's positive. I'll second that.
Got a motion from Mr. Talbot and a second from Mr. Mack. Is there any comment from the public on this? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Appreciate it. Well explained, Mr. David.
Parish President report.
Item 11A is the introduction of an ordinance to adopt the 2018 amended and the 2019 proposed budget for the year. You have rough draft number 2 of the budget in front of you. You will get one more before we actually adopt this budget. I told to the Finance Committee earlier that the only big changes that you will see in the rough draft 2 are the addition of the $7 million and change bond that we're going to get for the Go Mesa that Jim just proposed tonight. You'll see that in the general fund, and the majority of that spending, I put a little bit in 18 just in case it so happens that we're ready to roll as soon as we get the money and we start some mobilization costs or whatnot. You know, I put $1 million in 18 of that 7.5, whatever that we'll get, but we'll roll that into 19 if we don't spend any of it in 18. So you'll see the bulk of that spending in 19. And then we had an issue with our jail recently where we realized that the generator has died, like completely beyond repair, died, and it's $150,000. So you'll see that addition in 19 because we have to put it out for bid because it's 152 and change. So we have to put that out for bid. It takes 6 weeks to get a bid back. So we're currently renting one because we have to have emergency generator services to the jail. So you'll see the rental in 18 and then the purchase of the new generator in 19 on the budget. But other than that, there are no big changes. A few little nitpicky things that I saw was trending or maybe up or down that I changed, but those are the only 2 big things you'll see. But like I said, again, you'll get one more final draft that I'll ask you to actually vote on to be the amended 2018 proposed 19 budget.
What's the number on that?
We have any comments from the council on this? Miss Sandy, you need to read this?
This will be proposed ordinance 18-29. This is an ordinance amending the 2018 budget and adopting the 2019 budget of the Livingston Parish President and Council relative to the general fund, special revenue funds, debt service funds, and capital improvement funds. The public hearing will be at 6 p.m. to be determined at the end of the meeting when we reschedule our meeting for the holidays, and we'll publish the public hearing notice in the official journal.
I need a motion to accept this.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Girlinghouse,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Talbot. Any comment from the public? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right. Motion
Item B, we are asking you to ratify a resolution to cover the insurance payment for Fire Protection District Number 8 in the amount of $29,000, and I don't remember the exact number. Ms. Sandy, I believe, has it on the resolution in front of you. Y'all know they had a little issue.
This money will be paid back.
Jennifer, that's the amount of the check that needs to be written to cover the insurance?
To cover the insurance so that they can continue to operate and therefore not increase everybody's fire.
Okay, so let me get this straight. We're gonna pass a resolution that allows you to write the check, pay the insurance. You have taken over the funds.
Yes, sir. Their board took formal action to turn everything over to me. They delivered their check stock to me. I am waiting on the paper sign up with the formal action, and I'll draft a letter from Mr. Ricks that I can go to their bank, close their checking account, and take possession of the last little bit of money that's in their checking account, and remove all signature authority. So in effect, I will be their agent, and I have,
That's short term.
correct, opened an
Well,
account at the parish bank that I'm putting their money into, and I will write their checks at that point.
Okay, so my question is, you're gonna have the ability, you can only write a check they authorize.
Correct, yes, sir.
Are we gonna get them at their level to guarantee that they're gonna pay back? I mean, obviously, you're gonna get their tax revenues as they come in, and you're gonna put them in the bank. But you can't pay us back without their approval, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So do we have that in a resolution from them that they're gonna definitely pay us back with their?
I do not know the answer to that. I was told, Mr. Averitt is the one who had called and told me that they have taken formal actions to turn everything over to
Okay.
me. So that could very well mean that I just write the checks.
Okay, I mean,
I'm
I'm
not
just,
sure.
We were
since it
assured
was
by
a-
the fire chief that's helping them that money will be repaid because the legislative auditor demands that money be paid back.
But I mean,
within that time
we do
frame.
have a fail-safe. We do issue their fire tax rebate every year, so.
right. I mean, I just
I'll
wanna,
get my money
I
back.
mean, I just wanna be sure, I mean, that's all I wanna be
I don't have
sure
a
of.
doubt.
I did too, because we don't typically do this.
Yeah, I understand.
No,
And I think-
it's important.
I think the
Yeah.
one thing we need to be aware of is that the community of French Settlement, businesses in the community of French Settlement have raised to this point $9,300 for the continued operation of their fire district through the end of the year, when in theory, January, they'll start getting money. I mean, they might get some millage money
Maybe
in December,
but
but definitely they'll get they will start getting a check in January. So I think the importance of the fire district to the community needs to be noted, that the people in the community rallied around this situation, because they know it's important, and there've been businesses that step forward, and they don't wanna be named, they just wanna make the contribution to keep the district open. So I think from a parish level, I mean, all we can do is support it, and then make sure that whatever issues arose are corrected. I mean,
We're ensuring that our people in this parish down there don't lose their fire protection rating, is all we're doing.
but I think the thing that we need to realize is the community understands what happened,
They
and they
do.
rallied in
And
such
they
a
rallied
manner.
and
And I think that,
Plus, in addition to that, guys, they do a lot of emergency response, and, and they save a lot of people down there.
Well,
there
it's
was a-
supposed to
there
be
was
a
a- there was-
community down there, and it's,
I was down there last night, there was an accident at 444 and 16, in which they responded to, and there was an injury, so, I mean, they are a vital part of the community, and it's important, so
Yeah.
I think we need to move forward and support the resolution.
Yeah, I second the motion.
That's a motion by Mr. Talbot.
you second,
Yeah.
That's a second by Mr. Mack. Any comment from the public on this?
it's a no-brainer.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Thank you, Council.
Thank y'all.
Item C is a resolution to approve me signing for Sims Road. This was done back in 2017, but the state, every time we're gonna sign the documentation, ask us to have a resolution basically for them to support that y'all have given me permission to sign.
Is this to do the engineering on Sims,
Sims
on the
Road.
MPO?
Yes, sir.
So, just typically, from this point on, we're still 3-4 years away, or?
No, I don't know if I got any of them, Chad?
Yeah, we got this one programmed to be let in the fall of 2021.
2021?
2020. Are we addressing the width of Sims Road at all in this thing, or we?
If there's anything less than 20 feet, we usually do two 10-foot lanes on these. If there's anything less, we're gonna widen it out to fit that.
Are we just gonna fill the ditches in with pipe, or we're gonna do right-of-way acquisition? I mean,
Should
because
be.
ultimately, there's a lot of portion of Sims Lane is you know, 90-degree ditches
Yeah.
straight down the
Right
side,
there.
and that's the concern there.
Yeah, there's some safety issues with us widening and the ditches get closed. We'll have to close a few of the ditches in, but it won't be an entire storm drain project. It'll be an overlay project with safety on that portion. So if it's two 10-foot lanes and we gotta do something with the ditches to get it to work and make it fit, then we'll have to close sections of it in. So that's included with
Yeah,
that.
we're doing that on several, and that's a
So
good,
that's
good
basically
thing.
the
Good thing
same-
for the people living on those streets.
So that's the same thing we're basically doing on Buddy Ellis and the same thing on Forest Alliance,
Dunn
same
Road,
type situation.
well, Dunn Road's gonna,
Yeah.
it's a
Sweeney
monster.
Senior too, I think we're done. We got the same kind of situation, so
Yeah.
same kind of project.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Talbot, second by Mr. King. Any comment from the public?
Nope.
Council? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Thank you, Council.
I lost my item number.
D,
D. As you know, we have an agreement with, Village of Port Vincent, and this new resolution basically gives us some meat to the agreement that we can go in and help them enforce. So I'm asking you to adopt a resolution to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with Port Vincent in accordance with the terms set out in the CA.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Watson. Second by Mr. Harris. Any comment from the public?
Leighton, so every time there's a building built in Port Vincent, they're coming to our permit office to buy, so is
Now we
any
can-
planning gonna go, is any,
Yeah, they're working with us in all of.
so everything will go through planning, everything, the whole deal? Okay.
Nice. That helps.
All right, no more comment from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you, council.
Thank you, Mr.
Appreciate it.
President.
Done, that's it. Have a good night. Thank you.
All right, we are now entering a public hearing. This is adoption of LP ordinance number 18-25 to purchase a 3.66 acre tract of immovable property adjoining the existing Livingston Parish Department of Public Works facilities for the purpose of extension of future expansion. Anybody need any comment on this?
I believe this was just some property right next to the.
Yeah, it's
the
just right behind it.
DPW, So I'm good with it, I'll make a motion.
We have public hearing.
Right. Any comment from the public? All right, we're now closing the public hearing. Now I need a motion.
I'll make that.
Motion from Mr. Wascom, second from Mr. King. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Can I read it
Oh,
real fast?
yep.
You read almost the whole thing
Yeah.
just now, yeah. This is proposed ordinance number 18-25, an ordinance to purchase a 3.660 acre tract of immovable property adjoining the existing Livingston Parish Department of Public Works facilities for the purpose of extension and future expansion of said Department of Public Works, all as more fully set forth herein. Thank you. So we got all the
All
A's.
right, item 14. Mr. Sam G. Geronimo. Patiently waiting,
Finally, Mr. Sam. Sorry about that.
way past your bedtime.
No, it's Thursday night. He don't have to work tomorrow unless I call him in the
You
morning.
can stay up late tonight.
Okay, first on your agenda is Indigo Trails preliminary plat, subdivision with improvements. This is in Mr., I think this is Tracy Garlinghouse's district.
Tracy's.
District for Gravity Drainage District number 5. It's a recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission to approve the preliminary plat for Indigo Trails. That's on Buddy Ellis Road.
I think it's
I will.
Here we go.
Want to say something?
Probably
Mr.
question.
Ms. Fontenot, do you want to say something?
Do you need him to say anything?
No, I mean, he's here, so.
He just came for the show.
He makes a good
And just to, and Sam, thank you, it's just to clarify, several months ago, this council created a CDD, Community Development District, that includes
Say your name for the record, Chloe.
Chloe Fontenot. And this is, we own Jubin Trails. Jubin Trails is still in the works, and Mr. Gary Talbert and Councilman Garlinghouse are both on the CDD, along with the sheriff's representative, Mayor of Walker, and also the school board. All right. The problem that we ran into on the original development was wetlands. And according to our wetlands guy, it's gonna take probably at least another 6 months to a year. We purchased this property from Louisiana State Police, or the State Land Office. It used to be a training facility for the state police, okay, on Buddy Ellis. All right, so far, what we've done, and is Mark still there? But so far, what we've done is we've allowed Sheriff Ard to go in and take whatever material, there's a lot of building materials out there, there were metal buildings. He's taken that out, and also some of the cross fencing, because he wants to build a animal center in case of flood instances and that kind of stuff. We've also offered to Mark Harrell anything that he needs from those building materials for emergency preparedness. Also, in which Councilman Greenhouse and Gary know, we are working with Mark and FEMA to do a dry reservoir, which we are gonna donate that property to allow water to come in, basically to Buddy Ellis, and create a pond in flood situations and gradually release it from there. Hopefully that will help take care of some of the flooding north of the interstate. So that's basically the project is just an extension of a project that we've discussed several months ago. Be happy to answer any questions.
Let's see what they say about it now.
That's it, thank you, Flo. I mean,
Okay, and
Where's the sheets?
Councilman Norton, if I can say one thing, all right? And this is personal privilege. Guys, I watched the previous council over and over. I watched y'all all the time. I'm proud to be in Livingston. I am. You can have discussions of issues. It's not personalities or anything else, okay? It makes me proud. I've been involved in a lot of 26 years of local politics and state politics. That's what it takes to run a successful state or parish. What y'all doing? Okay, one other thing. Planning and zoning and Fort and Tablada and everything else. I'm not a professional developer, okay? They have been over backwards in planning and zoning, Mr. Gerald. All of them have been over backwards, first of all, to protect the public interest, which is their number one job. Number two, to help promote economic development. I'm just giving you that view from a third-party citizen that doesn't do this for a living every day, okay? And it makes me proud, that's all I can tell you.
Thank you, Mr. Pope.
Thank you so much.
All right. Mr. Girlinghouse.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Girlinghouse,
Second it.
second by Mr. Towle. Any comment from the public? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passed. All right, Mr. Sam?
I'm done.
I like the call.
Never give a politician
A microphone.
I wanted more. Okay, guys, next on the agenda is a minor resub. This is a Mike Lester 8-lot resub. This is on Red Oak Road, in Mr. Jeff Ard's district. It's a recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission to approve the 8-lot resub for Mr. Mike Lester. Any questions?
Everything fit pretty good there, it was all,
No waivers.
okay. I'll make a motion for that.
We got a motion from Mr. King and a second from Mr. Harris. You have any comment from the public on this? No comment from the public? Mr. Mack, you have a comment?
I just got one simple, because drainage is so important to me. Did they do any type of gravity drainage study? I mean, have we looked at that? I mean, are we
We
good?
will look at it. We will look at it. It will, you know.
Get
This
the
is just,
preliminary plat.
we're just bringing this to the council
Preliminary.
because of the public input,
Sure.
concerns.
And
They
just
did
so
everything
everybody
right.
knows, this is where the trailer park was on Red Oak. So that y'all know it's the same piece of property.
Same piece
We're
of
not
property.
trying to hide anything
8 separate
here.
pieces. 8 lots,
8 lots.
8 lots.
What happened to all did all the stuff get moved off of there yet? The gravel and all that, anybody know?
No, it's still there.
All still there.
No, it's still there. I went out there to look at the sign and all the stuff's still there, but I'm sure they'll move it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right, so we had a motion and a second. And no comment from the public. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, next on your agenda is a servitude revocation by Mr. Jacob Adale. This is in Mr. Jeff Averett's district, located off Highway 42 near the Cuba Wheat. Well, he's not here, but it's a recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission to approve the servitude revocation for Jacob Adale. And I might say that all of our no objection letters are in our office.
Is that the one that had the, like 7 or 8 lots stacked, one on top of each other with servitudes on both sides? Is that the one we saw on that map?
Way
You
back.
should have a map, Gary. I don't have a
we
map on it, but it's right there
14C.
to answer that question you
And it's
had.
not, it's shaded it, because the copy didn't come out good when we made a copy.
Oh, yeah,
Got it?
yeah, it's right there, yeah.
Okay, so
They have one down both
it's kind of basically got a servitude on both sides, and we're eliminating
I think you
servitude
just
on
want
one
it
side.
on
Give them
one
one on the
side.
back. Yeah,
Okay,
Shaded it.
I thought that's, I looked at it earlier, I thought that was
I
it.
think it is, yeah, that's it.
I'll make the motion
I'll
for Jeff
second
since he's
that.
not here.
Motion by Mr. Talbot.
This has
Well,
to
we
be
got
on
it
the
to
ordinance,
ordinance, we gotta
please.
read it.
Oh, we gotta read
Gotta
it.
read.
Miss Sandy, read.
We like to jump the gun.
Oh my goodness. This is gonna be proposed ordinance 18-29. This is an ordinance, as follows to wit, revoking the dedication, abandoning, and quitclaiming in favor of Jacob Kyle Idell, a 60-foot all-purpose servitude identified by the crosshatch portion as shown on the map shown on survey of the revocation of a 60-foot all-purpose servitude across tract W2A through W21, located in section 36, Township 7, South Range 4 East, Greensburg Land District, Livingston Parish, Louisiana, by Brett J. Martin, professional land surveyor, dated November 17, 2017, and the public hearing will be held at 6 p.m. to be determined at the end of the meeting, and we'll publish it in the official journal.
It's W2I, W2A to W2I. I don't know if it matters.
It's
That's
A,
it.
it's A
It's
through
A
I.
not AB1, so
Oh,
just,
yeah, it had a capital I.
A, B, C,
Yeah.
D, F, G, H, I.
It looks like a
Can't see
one.
the I.
It does look like, that's
Yeah.
all, it looks like a one.
I'm just letting you know just in case it mattered.
I
I was sitting going, what is Tracy talking about? It's stopping at H.
Kind of like that 3,000.
Stop with H, you didn't see it.
Like, where's I?
Exactly like that, 3,668.
So we had a motion from Mr. Talbot and a second from Mr. King.
Yeah, whatever.
Any comment from the public? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
This is
Not the letter I.
Okay, next on your agenda is a revision of a previous approved waiver. This is for Mr. Mark Dubois. This is in Mr. Shane Mack's district. It is a recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission to approve the revision of a waiver for Mr. Mark Dubois. And if I, go ahead, Shane, I mean, we discussed this with Shane.
Guys, I've been out there and looked at this property, like he said, this is a revision, we had already approved, a minor subdivision, with more than the acceptable amount of lots on a servitude, and, basically all they're really doing here is revising that division of property, and it's pretty much, I think it's actually less total lots
Quite
on
a few.
servitude than we originally approved. And they're taking it's like 100 and something acres, a couple of 100 and something acre plots, and they're combining those and just moving some 5 acre lots to make them 4 acre lots on the same servitude. It's really, and I'll tell you this too, Macklin Taylor and them has already went out there the first time and said that the gravity drainage study was good to go. So I'd like to make a motion.
This is the one that we had 7 on at one time?
No,
Yeah,
it was more.
yeah, this
It
was
was more
one,
than that?
probably, I think it was 11, but it's not 11 now.
But it's a
We had
huge tract
13
of land.
before.
Oh, yeah, it's great big, and it's out there in the
Yeah.
country.
It's a good thing,
I've got a motion from Mr. Mack,
yeah.
second from Mr. Lobel. Any comment from the public? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Okay, guys, next on the agenda is a kind of a unique introduction here. This is a waiver that was requested by Mr. Brent Bordelon, and it's also in Mr. Shane Mack's district. And we decided to go forward with it in the Planning Commission meeting, and we got approval. It's a recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission to approve the waiver of the number of lots for Mr. Brent Bordelon. But after talking to Mr. Shane, Shane wants to go out there and look at it. So he would like to table it to the next meeting in December for the council's approval. So we're just gonna let him go out there and do his thing. He can come back and report to us.
So we're gonna table 14E until Mr. Mike has an
That's
opportunity
correct.
to go out and bid it.
Oh, look, but they named it Scooter Lane. They
All
named
right.
it after me. That's so sweet.
I veto it right there.
Had to play good on that.
All right, moving on to item 15, Department of Public Works.
Okay, guys, we would like for you to consider to add to our priority road list. We have Duff, we have Texas, we have several in Spring Lake subdivision, and they are Fountain View Drive, Ruby Lake, Diamond Lake, Lake Harris, Sapphire, that we would like added to. Did I miss any, Jeff?
That's
Garnet,
Garnet, yeah, Garnet, I'm sorry, and Garnet Lake.
Yeah, Spring Lake's in my district.
Texas.
Texas Street's in my district, which is a town with Livingston, and Duff Road is
I
Tracy's.
think Duff is in Mr.
yeah,
Tracy's.
all at once.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Waskins, second by Mr. King. Any comment from the public on this?
To get these roads overlaid, they've got to be in the
They
program.
gotta get in there, don't they?
All in favor?
Was it stated that this is for consideration?
Yes. Mr. Sam said for
Yeah.
consideration.
Yep, for consideration.
Who made the second?
Huh? Scooter made the second. John made the motion. All right. You got anything else, Mr. Sam?
I think that's it. Thank you, sir.
All right, we'll move on to item 16. Adopt a resolution to reschedule the November 22nd, 2018 regular meeting of the council due to the Thanksgiving holidays. This is me, and I have looked at, I don't have a calendar in front of
Come
me.
on, chief, you're supposed to fix this.
But what we're going to look at, I kind of got with the clerk before the meeting. We have
The only one I
meeting
couldn't
on
be
the
here
22nd, which
15th.
is Thanksgiving. So I'm gonna ask that we cancel it,
Say again?
the November 22nd meeting.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask that we cancel it, because that's Thanksgiving Day. And in December, because the second meeting is the week between Christmas and New Year's,
That's the road.
I would like to move and have our meetings on the 6th and the 20th, so that we don't have such a long span with only two
20th
meetings.
And then the 6th?
No, the 6th
So
of
you'd-
December.
Oh, and then the 20th.
And then the 20th, so we would
So just not
basically,
have our next one.
yeah, we would move both meetings up a week. So the 13th would be the 6th, the 27th would be the 20th.
And this
I'll
will be
make
the
them-
only one in
I think that's
November.
a great
So,
idea.
so we
make
would
the
only
motion.
miss one meeting.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
I'll
All
second.
right, motion by Mr. Talbot, second by Mr. Gerber.
And if we all get here, good.
Any comment from the public?
No meeting on my birthday.
6th and the,
All right,
what's the second?
20th.
20th.
you going on vacation? All right, all in favor? All opposed? You can be at both places. We're not that far apart. You got that one, Sandy?
Where are we at?
All right, we are now on item 20.
I'm sure you don't want to discuss the other one.
Where you
No,
got?
we done with those. We promised not to discuss them.
19.
Nope, nope, that's over with. We're going all the way down to 19. Adopt a resolution to add a stop sign on Ross's Trail Road located in Councilman District 9, Shane Mack.
Thank you. Okay, off of Wagner Road, there's Trapper's Run, and then there's Ross Trail. and then Kylie Lane. Okay, on Ross's Trail, you go to the end and it tees into Kylie Lane, and there's no stop sign. So a Livingston Parish school bus driver contacted me, and they almost had a situation there the other day, a really bad situation. So I contacted a few individuals that live on Kylie Lane, talked to a few people. What I think is best, what they think is best, is that we make that a three-way stop. At the T, at Kylie Lane, everybody stop, look both ways, and then go.
Do we have to have a,
Yes. We used to do it by ordinance, and we determined that we didn't have to do it by ordinance anymore. We could do it by
I have a
resolution.
subdivision that asked me to put three-way stops in there. Can their HOA just ask me to do that if the HOA votes to do it?
Well, don't, be careful.
Well, that's why I wanna know what.
Well, let's handle this and we'll talk
Okay,
about
he
that.
talking about it, okay.
Yeah, so I make that motion that we put a three-way stop
At those,
at
I'll second that
Trail and
motion.
Kylie Lane, yeah.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, we got a motion by Mr. Mack, second by Mr. Girlinghouse.
It'd be 3
Any
stop
comment
signs.
from the public? All in favor? All opposed? All right, item 20. Discussion of a waiver, request the allowance of a mobile home in the North Side Village subdivision. Mr. Scooter King.
Yeah, I was contacted, by Miss Amber Ray. You can come up and speak if you'd like to, you don't have to. We had passed an ordinance back after the flood, I think it was Mr. John's ordinance, that said that there would be no trailers allowed in named subdivisions that were designed for, stick-built homes, type, built on site. And I had told a lady 3 weeks ago to call me about this same exact lot. No, absolutely, you could not put a trailer. Well, Mr. Amber Ray called me about the same thing. They want to put a double wide in a subdivision. And I don't think that's something we need to start doing. But I wanted her to come and let, whether that's something y'all want to spend. I mean, it's a subdivision from like 1972, I believe, is when most of the houses were built and the subdivision was laid out. And it was hit really hard by the flood. And a lot of the houses in that subdivision are still just sitting there rotten. They're just not even, some of them didn't even get touched. Yeah, and this is one they tore down, I guess, after the flood, I would think, because the concrete slab is there. There is a trailer on the next road since the flood, but I think it's a temporary trailer. I don't know whether it is or not. Did you find that out?
It has to be.
Well, it has to be unless somebody permitted it before we got the ordinance in place. Remember, that was
Well,
a couple.
the only one that had been permitted, everything was supposed to be temporary on those trailers except for that one that got put in John's subdivision.
Yeah. They did put that one in there?
Well, it's there, but they're not permitted to move in, it stays in.
It just sits there?
Yeah, the
Okay.
people, they're supposed to get it out.
Oh, they never did get it permitted?
No, the trailer's they never permitted to move in, so it's just there vacant.
There's actually 2 trailers on the next street over that have been there for years, the sellers tell me. I did drive through there today and I took some pictures of them. There's also some more mobile homes on the back.
Yeah, in the
If you
back
rode-
around the corner?
If you go around
Yeah.
the corner, there's 5 or 6 back there as well.
I think that's the people that actually had the road that went back there, and they were living there before they even built the subdivision. As a protection for the landowners in there, I don't think we should start down this road. I really don't. It's not that I don't want that double wide. That double wide is probably a new double wide.
Yeah, they're looking to get a new mobile home.
That would actually be better than most of the houses that are left in there. Now they have started fixing a lot of them up and they're redoing them. So do we go down that road now? And if we do this once, well, we're gonna have to do it in every subdivision? You break the thing one time, what happens? You designed it, so how would you say it's it?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote the law but now my subdivision, that was in my district, there is no mobile homes.
Right.
Somebody moved this one in and when that house had burned down and the neighbors just come unglued. I mean,
Yeah, and it's right on the
it's
line.
really a good idea to have this ordinance in place.
Chris, so we've written an ordinance that says subdivisions with, site-built houses cannot have trailers in
Name,
them.
that's
Have
right.
Named subdivision, site-built houses can't have trailers added to them. If we give her a waiver, do we then basically open up for everybody who's got a lot and that to be able to come to us without just cause for stopping them?
Yeah, I know it's a difficult thing, but, you know, once if you make a waiver for one, you have to be able to make it for everyone in the same situation.
You'd have
Yeah.
you'd
I
have
guess-
to justify it in some way, shape, or form.
Go
I
ahead.
guess here's my question, Chris. If the trailers if there was trailers in that neighborhood previously, and they weren't, I'm talking about prior to the flood, or the ones in there now are on a temporary permit,
I don't know. Apparently not, if she said it to people, you know.
Yeah, I know they
Now, I don't
said
know in the
they've
back
been
if
there
it's
for years.
considered
The
whatever
neighborhood.
village, yeah.
You wanna defer it till you get.
I would find out, I would try to find out, I'm not
Well, I
trying.
hate to shoot it down if it's something that should be allowed.
Well, that's what I'm saying, you wanna defer it till you go gather some more information?
So that would be to the 6th of December,
December 6th would be our
the
next
next
meeting.
time we would hear it.
Because, I mean,
What's the
basically, on the,
Eight,
on
nine, eight?
the front end, looking at this situation, I don't wanna violate it in your subdivision, and all of a sudden, you know, in your
Yeah,
district, and
then we have to
then
allow
they
it in
come
yours.
to my district and
Yeah.
I'm getting stuck with it. So I would like for you to know that the trailers that are in the
Whether
back
they were there
were
before or
previous
not,
before
whether
the
they're in the
subdivision was
subdivision.
built.
Yeah, let's
And
do
then are
that.
are those other trailers, FEMA temporary type trailers that are there only for the flood? I mean, I don't wanna waive.
Yeah, cause we allowed all those in,
Yeah, I don't
I'm the
wanna,
same way, but at the same time, I don't, if there were trailers there existing in that neighborhood prior to the flood, and they were
then
permitted.
it would be a
then
different
it's a
situation.
different, it's a different situation.
Do
We
you
don't need
agree,
to waive
Mr.
it.
Chris, if they were there prior to the
So-
flood, we could grant
I
that,
hate-
we wouldn't even really have to grant
I
a
hate to
waiver.
push you off on this, but I mean.
We wanna get it right.
But I mean, because if there were trailers there, and it's not so much that they were there, were they permitted to be there, or they've been there prior to the flood, if they were, then I'm inclined to help you in this situation. If they aren't,
Then we would have to say
I would
no.
have to say no.
Yeah.
So, well, let's let Mr. King.
Yeah, I think we
Is
should
it-
table it and I'll go do the homework on, and you probably can too, if we can find out the ones in the back, whether they are in the subdivision or if they were separate, you know, I think the road even changed its name back there.
A lot of times what you think is in the subdivision isn't. I
Right.
have that in my neighborhood, it's not actually part of the subdivision. But, you know, just get the
But if
specifics.
those on the other street were previous, before the flood, and permitted legally to be there, that would add some credence to allowing another trailer in there.
Okay.
So let's,
From what I can understand, they have been there for years, and Anderson kind of makes
yeah, it makes a loop,
horseshoe, so
yeah.
not even the ones in the back, but on that horseshoe.
On the actual
loop,
horseshoe that
there
comes
are
in behind
two-
freshwater school.
Yes, there are two other mobile homes that, from what they're telling me, have been there for years.
Okay.
So,
Well, let's table it. I know that's a month, well, almost a month from now, but that'll give us time to get it all instead of them, because we were gonna have to do a no.
Yeah.
You know, so, that'd be our best bet, and that leaves you open. It doesn't help the lady and her daughter get in there any quicker, you know, but, I say let's table it. We'll do some homework, and I got your number. Actually, I got your email, your voicemail today.
Oh,
And I'm
okay.
like,
Well, my question is, and not to disrupt, but
No.
we're tabling it. But if you do the work and realize that there are already existing trailers in
Then I
the
can
named
go ahead.
subdivision, then it really doesn't need to come to the council for action. He could actually,
I can just go ahead and say.
you know, talk to
I
permitting,
can
couldn't
do
he?
it. Yeah.
So there wouldn't be a need for a waiver? Is that, I mean, am I overreaching, or is that kind of what
I
we've
think-
done?
I think you would need a waiver if we haven't gave a waiver for that particular subdivision in the past.
I got you. Well, I mean, I just know that if
It would be the first one.
But it would
I
be
got you.
justifiable,
John
it
Road.
would be
So you'd have to
justifiable,
do a
Okay.
because you
Yeah.
already have a trailer in that subdivision.
Right,
On
okay.
the, on the
I was
same
just
name
try-
street.
I was just trying to,
Yeah.
just trying to
Yeah.
solve.
He was
the
trying to
problem.
get
All
us
of
a
them after
little
this
little
wouldn't
quicker.
have to.
Right.
Okay, well, then it would have to come back, so if we can add that to the agenda on December 6th. Y'all got questions? Did you? I mean, y'all hear more stuff about this sometimes than we do, you guys. Okay, well, let's put it on December 6th agenda.
Table it for December 6th.
Okay.
Thank you. All right.
All right, item 21, board reappointments, Fire Protection District Number 11. Mr. Mack?
Yeah, thanks for this opportunity. I enjoy this. Okay, so Fire District 11, that's an outstanding group up there. They save a lot of people, man. They answer calls all day, every day up there, and they're north of Albany. like to make a motion that we reappoint Mr. Charles Whidden. He does an outstanding job leading that department up there. And then Mr. Sam Magliola. It's Samuel Magliola, and they call him Sam for short. I'd like to also include in that motion that we reappoint Mr. Sam to Fire District 11, North Albany.
All right.
True, please.
Motion by Mr. Mack,
I'll second that.
second by Mr. Girlinghouse. Comment from the public. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Item B, 21B, mosquito abatement, what is that mosquito abatement? District 2 and 3, Gary Frog, Talbot, Maurice Scooter King.
Guys, when we put the board together, we put 4 appointments on it. We've been holding one back for an expert. We really didn't want to tax those people or bother them until we knew we could move forward. Scooter and I had contacted Mr. Kyle Mofford, who is the medical entomologist for the State Department of Health, the Lieutenant Department of Health, and I asked him for some people's names that might be interested to serve. And to be honest with you, there's a guy that lives around the corner with me that's about 2 years from retiring at the East Baton Rouge Parish Mosquito Abatement Control and Rodent Control over there. And I talked to Mr. Fred Augustine, who lives around the corner from me, on the phone, and he would be glad to serve. And so I'd like to appoint, Scooter and I would like to appoint Mr. Fred Augustine
Please, he's an expert.
to come in and help us, put the budget and service type situation together. So we'd like the board to support our appointment of Mr. Fred Augustine.
All right, motion by Mr. Talbot,
Second.
Yeah, I second.
second by Mr. King. Comment from the public? Mr. Burns, you got anything? Nothing?
Call for the
All right. All in favor? All opposed?
I was hoping you'd pull that. I want to see how John was gonna vote on that one.
Well,
All they do is say nay.
he just didn't say, I like the abstention, that'd be fine.
He did say no.
He
so we
said
gotta
nay, so call for the vote. Christina, call for the vote.
Mr. Wascom.
No.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Mr. Lavelle.
Yes.
Mr. Ard.
Yes.
Mr. Mack.
Yep.
Mr. Girlinghouse.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Talbot.
Yes.
Item 22, District Attorney Report.
Oh, this is gonna be shocking.
You got a report?
Get it, 3 words.
I have no report.
He made it forward, not to trip me up.
I have something
All right.
real fast before y'all do the councilman comments. Would it be okay if I read what the date of the public hearing will be, just for the record?
Sure.
And I think I misspoke on the budget when it was introduced. I think I said it was 1829 instead of 1828. So I just for the record. The public hearing for the ordinances that were introduced will be at 6 p.m. on Thursday, December the 6th. And we had ordinance, that was introduced 18-26, 18-27, the 2 properties for Mr. Mark Harrell. Then, we had them all in order.
18.
No, we changed it to 48. We were trying to figure out what
Here,
48
1828 was adopting, to introduce the budget for the 2018 budget amendments and adopting the 29 budget. So that'll be December 6th at 6 p.m. And then the quit claim for Jacob Idell, the 60-foot all-purpose servitude off of LA 42 is 18-29. So thank you for letting me do that.
All right. Committee reports. Ordinance Committee?
Thanks. Yeah, I'd like to say, I talked to Mr. Gerald Burns, and I've heard Mr. Scooter say multiple times that we need to take a look at that minor subdivision ordinance one more time. And that state revision that allows you to divide property less than 16,000 square feet, if you have city sewer or some type of community sewer collection system, I think we need to take a look at that. So in some way, shape, or form.
Doesn't hurt to comb over it at all.
We're gonna be going through that and seeing if we need to make some changes. That's all I really wanted to say about that. So,
Didn't we have to be
somewhere at 7:20? Yeah.
Finance Committee.
Y'all ready?
Mr. Girlinghouse, Finance Committee?
We just, I think we went over the.
Yeah,
the
Jennifer
budget,
pretty much went over it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, whenever, that's one thing good when they do that, she goes
Yeah.
over it for me, so I defer to what Jennifer said at the beginning of this meeting.
All right. Councilman comments, I would like to be the first to wish all 5 of our teams in our parish luck tomorrow in the playoffs. Hope all 5 win, and look forward to seeing hopefully run into each other in the
Yeah, that'd be cool.
playoffs.
That'd be nice.
That'd be great,
Yeah.
huh?
That'd be good for the whole parish, it
Yeah.
really would.
That would be fine.
So that's Albany, Springfield, Denham, Live Oak, and Walkertown.
Walkertown. Like it.
Any other comments?
Look, I just wanna thank y'all guys for, bearing with Scooter and I through thick and thin, and I know y'all tired of hearing about mosquitoes, and hopefully this thing will get put to rest pretty quick, so.
I'll give you an amen.
Thank you.
I need a motion by Mr. Garlinghouse to adjourn, second by Mr. Lobel. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Meeting adjourned.